April 12th. And please welcome our beautiful, talented co-host, Rose McGowan, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
I just want to say I just met you in the makeup room, and I love you.
Yes.
I do. I think you're fantastic. You're so smart. You're gorgeous. You're articulate. I enjoy you.
I'm just going to come out and say, I have nothing to say. No, Rory, that's my aunt's name. Yeah, Rosie. I'm Rose. I'm very confused. It's very early for me, LA time, people.
Did they call you Ro when you were a kid like me?
No, I was actually, people tried to call me Rosie. And at an early age, I put the kibosh on that one.
Same with me.
I was like, I'm not Rosie.
I didn't enjoy it because...
Old people, I can't help it. You can't correct
What's wrong with Rosie?
Well, when I was a kid, Nancy Walker was Rosie the quicker picker-upper with bounty paper towels. There was a lot of teasing in the 2nd grade. So I was always Ro, always, my whole life. And a lot of Rose. You're just Rose.
I'm just Rose, and I was very succinct about it. And there's a little, no, thank you, that's not my name. My name is Rose.
Good for you.
And that's all I would say, and then they would stop talking to me because
people will butcher a name. They just take your name and call you something else, and you never really give it to them that way.
Were you called Liz as a kid?
I was called everything. You know, people would call, especially boys, when they'd call the house, they'd say, "Hi, is Liz there?" And my father would answer, and this is, before cell phones, so you had to go through the parents before you got to the teenager.
Exactly.
So the boys would call and say, "Hi, is Liz there?" My dad's like, "No, actually, she's not. I have a daughter named Elizabeth, if you'd like to speak with her in 5 years."
Oh! Tough old daddy.
He would always, make sure that people knew that my name was, he's like, "I named you Elizabeth, it's Elizabeth." And then it took me a while to own it myself, because I just kind of let people call me whatever they want, but then, after a while, I started being like you, Rose.
Call you a hoe?
Hell no!
Hell no! Say no to hoe.
They were fired if they were.
Exactly.
That's going to be my new pin. I have a whole bunch in my car. A lot of anti-Bush pins. But I also have, my new one is definitely going to be say no to hoe.
Say no to hoe. That's our new thing.
Love it.
All right, so we're gonna just let's start there again. Imus, there you go. Yesterday we were talking that he was suspended for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And today he's been fired from MSNBC, not the radio show. He's still going to be on the radio, correct?
Yeah.
But he's not going to be...
For the moment. He might get the axe there, too, though, because it's like a snowballing effect. You know that he made his comment, that's the heinous comment, on the 39th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King? I mean, it's just ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was on April 4th, 1968, that Martin Luther King was assassinated, and it's the same day that he made those comments. Not for nothing.
It was like
I don't believe in psychic
Tourette's.
Tourette's.
There you go.
Oh, you'll get in trouble for Tourette's. There are people who have Tourette's.
You're right, and I'm very sorry about that.
I'm telling you, I'm just warning you right now.
I know this.
See, this is what's happening now. This is what's happening.
You think there's
Even though the guy is obnoxious, what he said was reprehensible, there is a bit of a pall on TV talkers like ourselves.
You think so? Not
That's
me.
why the second thing I said was hoe, because I want to just break it right now.
So you think that they should not have been? Do you think he shouldn't have been fired from
I don't
MSNBC?
believe in firing him. I think the marketplace will determine whether someone stays on the air or
They
not.
certainly have been, because they pulled all the sponsors.
Yes, then fine. I think that was good.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting that it comes at the same time of this Juke rape case. These boys are now off because the girl lied and she wasn't raped. However, it's interesting to me that the little white boys club was in effect in the Duke University situation, too. You have a bunch of white boys sitting around with black girls coming in and stripping. All right, they didn't rape them, but
they're gross.
But they're gross. And the same thing with Imus and his old boys club, and I mean old.
Right.
Really
Old white guys sitting around making comments about women.
Did these boys
it's really got to
specifically request?
stop, but I don't want to be the one to stop it. I want the marketplace to stop it.
I hear you on that.
In his case.
Did those boys specifically request a black female to come and strip for them?
It doesn't matter. It's still a stripper. I don't care about the color.
You were saying white boys
they had
club,
two.
so you did care about the color, right?
Those are white boys.
Right.
That's the white boys
I was just trying
club.
to clarify, because it
but
seemed
they
to me
had
as though...
I'm not
black
talking.
strippers.
I know, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the boys. They were all white boys, weren't they?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
I think the reason a big prejudge went on there, and I'm not saying that I'm not the only one, because every school I went to usually had, you could just take those guys and make them a cookie cutter down the line, and the girl version of them.
Yeah.
I was usually persecuted by them, or my friends were, at every single school I went to, and I went to a lot. And I think it was very easy to look at them and think, rich white kid who looks, like the kind of guy that used to put me in a headlock on the way to gym class, and I really actually hope you're guilty, because you kind of stand for all of them.
You were thinking that at the time.
Well, I was assuming, and I think everybody else was, and the reality is, a lot of times, people get popped. Like, let's say you get popped for stealing. How many times have you stolen before? I've actually never stolen. But let's say a person gets, caught for car theft.
So you're saying maybe not this time.
I'm saying maybe they didn't rape this woman, but I would say there's probably definitely been with them. I would bet each and every one of them, please don't sue me, possibly a long history of really inappropriate things.
You think so?
But usually it's a real
I don't
frat
know.
mentality.
I think this is the danger in being accused of something when you're innocent, because now things like this will stick on them. And these are boys who also did sacrifice themselves for their schools. And yes, they had a moment where they had strippers in. And is that the best thing you can do morally? Maybe not. But now being accused of this crime, which they are innocent of, is completely painting them with a brush, which is so, it's awful. For the rest of their lives, they're going to have to carry this burden.
That's true, too.
I agree, and I think
What's great about this show, you can hold two thoughts
at the same time
that are antithetical at the same time.
Well, and I actually hold both of those thoughts. It's one with the other, and I've argued with myself about it.
That's why the honest thing is not, you should pardon the pun, black and white issue.
Right.
It's not. It's a gray issue.
Well, it does. He said before, he said really horrible things about, we're talking about Sharpton, saying really horrible things about Jewish people and many things, and it's.
I have it right here.
It was a little bit. Yes. Okay.
Take it, Rose. I love today. I have to say nothing. Go.
Sorry.
No, it's good, honey. Take it. Take it.
They came to see you.
They did not. Go ahead, Reed. Make your point, whatever it is.
My point, who knows what it is. Let's say, take Al Sharpton, civil rights leader. It says so. 1987, Sharpton spreads Tawana Brawley hoax. That was evil. I remember, being little and that whole circus going on at the time. 1991, Hasidic Jewish driver accidentally kills black child in Crown Heights. Sharpton railed against the diamond merchants and organized march through Jewish neighborhood chanting, "No justice, no peace."
Right.
1995.
Diamond merchants being the key
Jewish.
anti-Semitic remark. Go ahead.
Thank you. 1995, black landlord in Harlem raised rent for white Jewish owner who in turn raised rent for black subtenant. Sharpton said, "We will not stand by so that some white interloper can expand his business." Now,
it's just money, Jews' money.
I understand exactly. They're like, he's trying to slam them with the money, and basically, and yes,
bigotry.
It's complete bigotry, and I think that is a really common thing.
Now that he's in the middle of this circus, like my mother used to say, don't spit up in the air, it comes back in your face.
Or people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, sort of same.
That's funny. My father used to say, people who live in glass houses should dress in the cellar.
But here's the thing. We are living in a racist society. To deny that there's racism in America is just ignorant. So there's a little bit of racism, like the Avenue Q show says, in everybody. And when it rears its ugly head, we're all quick to point the finger at the other person and to defend ourselves as I don't and I never would and I'm above it, where it's part of the human experience. It's part of human existence. People...
So what are you saying?
But it shouldn't be on the level that Imus is speaking. It shouldn't be there. There's a responsibility that comes across. When he was originally given that 2-week suspension, in my mind, that's like a tease. It's like the football season ends, 2 weeks later is the Super Bowl, puts a thirst in people's mouths. So people would even want to hear more than they did before after those 2 weeks. They'd be waiting to see what happened at that meeting he's having with the players.
If you go in to see a slasher movie and you come out and cry that there was too much blood, whose fault is it for going into the slasher movie?
So you're saying that with Imus, his listeners should expect that he would make bigoted remarks and racist remarks, and
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he has a history of doing that for 40 years, and I think that this, just like Anna Nicole's baby, is taking us away from the real people we should be thinking about. Alberto Gonzalez. Why isn't he fired?
Well, he's coming out.
Wait a second. Let me ask you this. We always talk about holding two thoughts at the same time, two opposing thoughts at the same time, two conflicting thoughts at the same time. Why can't we think about both? Why can't we think about stomping on racism and people who make those remarks on a public platform?
Because one is an entertainer and the other is the head of the judicial branch of democracy.
But he's being treated that way.
But the only show that's actually, kudos to you guys, the only show that's actually holding two thoughts at any one time seems to be you guys.
That's right, Rose.
Bravo, Rose.
I'm just saying, you guys are doing the back and forth. There does not seem to be, it's wall-to-wall coverage of, I watched the news actually last night, and I was hoping to see something, just maybe 12 seconds on Iraq. No, it was Anna Nicole Baby Daddy, and it was Don Imus, and then I think there was lunchtime facelift, and then the weather.
Yes.
And that was it. And it actually almost made me cry because of it.
All the troops, 140,000 troops, their tours were extended for 3 more months. Yes. Does anyone care that these 145,000 men and women will be risking their lives for 3 more months, or do you care more about what Don Imus says in the morning?
They do care. It's just that what can you do? You can talk about this more than that.
Especially if you're a black American.
I've been reading now that a lot of these guys who have 3 tours to do, they come back home and they don't go back. They're going AWOL. There's a lot of that going on right now.
Because it's a backdoor draft.
Well,
that's what it is.
That's
You can't
extreme
get
to
out
say that.
because, well, I think because they know they're not really. Oh, really? You're going to get off in January, 2008.
Yeah.
Now they all know that's maybe not true. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Right.
But I think the thing with. What's really interesting about this particular war, this is the first time in history, there are no pictures of any bodies coming home in coffins.
See why I love
there is
her?
no flag draped coffin. We see no images. The British press give celebrities hell. Horrible. But one thing they do not print the regurgitated crap that the government spins on the front page and just lets it out. They actually say, this is right, and it could have been Clinton, because they know that's not true.
Right.
No, this is true.
The British press, really?
They really take them to task. They really take their politicians to task. They do not do that if they hear, oh, okay, really? Thank you, because basically you're controlling the entire media by saying we're not going to allow you to have any photographs of it. So in actuality, yes, we're talking about Don Imus, but then she's talking about that, but it's kind of maybe the only airing that they get per day that there's a representation of them over there.
I tend to hear about the war in the media. I tend to see it on the news, and I tend to read about it in the paper.
For it.
But you see the pro-war news on Fox.
Absolutely not. That is, first of all, although I am a fan of Fox News Channel. Hang on. Hold up.
First boo here.
I would throw the yellow flag. That is not the only news channel that I watch.
Okay,
I watch
where else do
everything
you see
out
the news talked about? What the war talked about in a current?
CNN, MSNBC. I read a plethora of newspapers.
Have you
I get
seen
everything.
any wounded soldiers? Have you
Yes.
seen any of the amputees on TV
Not
on a
too
regular
much.
basis or once?
See them in Newsweek or
You
Time.
see them on
Do
specials
you
more
remember
than
when
every
Ted
time.
Koppel read the names of the dead and he was in trouble for reading the names of the dead? He was the first and the bravest journalist here on this network to actually say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to read the names.
Repression by the administration.
And it's still here, Joy. That's my point.
If we
It's
get
still
back
here.
to, for a moment though, you're talking about
Take a
these
break,
troops.
but we're going to
Sure.
come back.
Yeah.
We're going to come back and talk about that, and we're going to show you a clip from Grindhouse because
More importantly, because I am the best amputee ever.
she is in this movie, and we're going to talk about that right after this, so don't go away.
If Heather Mills could have done that, she could have gotten all of Paul's money.
They ruined the timing, maybe, with the applause. I'm not really sure.
No, it's so inappropriate. That's all.
Inappropriate, and you may be fired, so get ready.
I'm actually horrible at jokes. I don't get
You
it.
don't get it? She has one leg also.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, so if she could have done what you did with your leg,
What's she gonna do?
she would have
Shoot him?
gotten all his
Shoot
money.
Paul-
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You know, the jokes are not as much fun when you have to explain them, are they? I know.
See, here's the trouble with the censorship. If the joke is not funny, that's when they really get on your case.
Yeah.
If it's funny, they go, and they forget
Well, the
about
thing
it.
about the Imus thing, which I've heard now actually and seen ad infinitum on TV, it didn't seem as if it was a joke. There was no sort of satirical or point he was trying to make other than what he viewed to be his description.
Yeah.
That wasn't a joke. That was his description.
Yes. But I
A joke is to try to make a point about something.
Yeah.
Right?
But he's
So-
been doing it for years. This is just what they call the tipping point.
Yeah, I understand.
But I said it the other day. The worst than this is what he said about Gwen Ifill, who is the PBS journalist, and she's a very, very well-respected journalist. And when she was covering the White House, a black woman, he said, "Oh, they're letting the cleaning lady in the White House." To me, that is more heinous than
That's
these
way
other
more
things
heinous.
because it's a class distinction.
Well, that's why we're bringing up why now. Why now? He has said equally horrific and even worse things in the past, and no one condones what he said. It was horrible in every aspect. Why now?
Why not now?
I don't know. I mean,
on the other side of that too.
I just can't stand his bad plastic surgery. I just can't stand it.
Thanks for breaking it down for us.
I'll just say, there are all the esoteric issues here. That's true. I agree with them all.
Right.
But bad plastic surgery is another thing entirely.
I got an email this morning from one of my comedian girlfriends, and she said, "I'm glad he's off. He was an eyesore."
Who was that?
They wouldn't let a woman on the air that looked like that.
Yeah.
Never.
Never.
Just say nasty things.
I'm glad you raised that point.
That's a good point.
I'm glad you raised that point because I think that if he had made these racist comments about the basketball players, male basketball players, I don't think he would have done it. First of all, has he ever done it? No. It's because a woman is easy to kick. Those other guys would have come and kicked his ass.
That's right. They would have.
Exactly.
And maybe next last week. I mean, we've seen some grace and dignity come out of that team from Rutgers, but I mean, if they had their way, you know, maybe if they weren't full of dignity and full of grace, they could take him too. They're pretty strong and tough.
But they're not going to. I mean, they're afraid of other men. They don't go after men.
Yeah.
It's like kick a woman.
Of course not. And what's to be afraid of when you're sitting behind a microphone and you're not looking at the people you're insulting? Nothing.
Yeah.
There's that.
Well, here's a question too. Do you think if you took out the racial element, if it was a white team and he made a joke about them, let's say being fat, or his tattooed, I think was a gay thing in some capacity. I mean, let's say he did it about groups that don't have the kind of social prominence that the NAACP has and the national leaders like Sharpton and Jackson.
He'd still be on the air.
That's what I think. Would he still be on the air?
Well, I think you have a point. I think that, the fact is that the black community, as I said this, I'm repeating myself from the other day, but the fact that Obama is running for president, the fact that the black community has more power, more clout, I think is implied here also.
It's interesting that Obama didn't make a statement for the first really 2 days of this whole thing going on, and then he kind of, I think, got some feedback from the black community saying, where are you? Where's your voice now? And then he kind of stepped in and said, you know what, this is reprehensible. This should not have gone on. These are the kind of comments I've been trying to protect my daughters from, and he made some strong statements afterward.
I love Hillary, but my guess is Hillary was happy in the sense that she's white.
You know what?
She did not have to go load in.
A few years ago,
she actually said that she never liked his show and she would never go on his show.
He was horrible to her.
He's also just a mean man. It's cheap shots. You're right. It's like, to me, the same thing as the people behind their computer who can just say evil things about people all day long because you're completely protected.
Cowardly in a way.
Yeah, they write to me a lot.
They think,
Rosie, you're fat and gay, you're a loudmouth, you're un-American, send. I'm like, oh, God.
You're like, I'm always like, yeah.
Well, look at the gay community. Ann Coulter made some kind of a nasty anti-gay
Well, not just Ann Coulter. What about the head general? He said all gays were immoral. And Pace, and no one said boo. And this is an administration. This is part of the administration, not an entertainer.
Yeah, but you can't get rid of him for that. I mean,
if he's basing it on his moral beliefs, then if it's based on religion, I think there's
no
separation of church and state, my friend.
They asked him, though. They asked him.
Right, but he represents the government.
Stick to don't ask, don't tell.
Right. He represents the government. He's part of this administration, and he gets out there and says that gay people are immoral, innately immoral. There is nothing you can do to be redeemed in this man's eyes, right? Part of the administration, no problem.
So would you have to have you would like him to be redeemed about in my eyes? There's nothing about that man that could be redeemed in my eyes.
I agree, General Pace. I agree.
Would you have him fired based on that?
I believe,
he was a great general.
Listen to me. I believe in free speech. I believe in freedom of speech in America. I have to say, we have been systematically dismantling the Constitution since 9/11 with the Patriot Act. I am a fan of free speech, and I hate bigotry, and I hate the political correct atmosphere that makes everyone now walk around like the McCarthy era. Oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I better not question. I better not say anything. They might out your wife, a CIA agent.
I think it's fine to question. I think it's absolutely fine to question what's going on. We should question what's going on in this war. Politicians, John McCain has been questioning this war from day one, saying, we didn't handle it properly. Now with this new surge, he's questioning it now and realizing that it's actually working right now. It's still so early, and there's still so many evidence out there that it is actually, they're making some progress, and the fact that we're not just going in with the surge and retreating is big.
John McCain is going down in the polls.
Let me tell you why, because John McCain is willing to lose this election and win the war. That is why. And other people out there would rather win the election and lose the war.
A civil war in a country that you do not live in. We are occupying that nation illegally. It's an illegal occupation. That's not what we do in America.
And we need to be there right now. If we are not there, we are going to leave a vessel for terrorists to just take over.
You want to see
one at a time.
Iran is going to be in there if we are not.
But Elizabeth, do you understand that the tactic of fear is used by this administration to immobilize us?
I do not feel that way.
I feel that way.
I do not feel that way.
I feel that way very strongly.
You will be living in a world of fear if Iran steps into Iraq.
One at a time, girls.
Ever since this government told me to put duct tape and have saran wrap, I felt very safe with this administration.
Yes, right. We're in trouble. The towers came down by duct tape. Remember that?
It's not just that. It's going back to...
A lot of people were trying to make us feel safe at that time. I think people felt comfort in the fact that they went out and
right
gave
now
us
they've been
things to do.
campaigning on fear.
When I was a child, we had to go under the desk in case a nuclear bomb
Duck and
fell.
cover, I
Things
remember.
have not changed that much.
Yeah.
That's all.
All I can say this, you know, faith or fear, there's one choice, and a government that leads with fear and tries to scare its own citizens should be really, really looked at closely. Bobby is a brand new movie. Everyone is getting one. We'll be right back after this break with the funny Molly Shannon.
Good job.
I'm so excited to be on the show.
I'm so happy to see you.
We love Molly. She's so funny.
So funny. The funniest right
She's a superstar.
there.
We were having our babies at the same time, and we actually had that, what is it, the 20-week ultrasound, and we were in the waiting room together, and Tim was with me, and he was nudging me and saying, hey, hey.
Oh my
Right
God.
there. And I was such a fan that then I like turned into your character. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go say hi.
That's
and then
so
finally we
funny.
said hello, and it was kind
Isabel
of a nerve-wracking
Plumberg and
day.
Dr. Sherry Brasner, the best
The best.
OBGYNs in New York
best.
City.
But how are your babies? You have 2 babies?
I have 2 babies. I have a 3.5-year-old girl. I know, I'm so cute.
What's her name?
I mean,
What's
look
her
how
name?
cute.
Yes.
Stella's the girl, and the boy is Nolan.
Oh, that's
Nolan.
nice.
Stella,
Nolan.
yeah.
And your husband's an artist.
Yes, he's a painter,
yes.
photorealistic, figurative. He's very talented.
Yeah. And this movie is very funny, Molly.
Thank you, Rose.
But it's
Very
sort of sad, too.
Yes.
The dog dies, and you feel... Are you a dog lover, too?
I am a dog lover. We had dogs when I was growing up, but we had to get rid of them because I was allergic. Which, making the movie, they were like, what?
Can't you take Clarinex or something for that?
You can't, but I don't have it bad. It's much worse with dogs.
Okay.
So, I mean, with cats, rather.
It was really neat to see your character was so explored in this film, and it was so focused on you. I just thought it was amazing. And Brad Pitt, I didn't realize, produced it. Did he come by the set along?
He did. He came by the set one day.
And how'd that go?
How many dogs did he adopt?
So funny. He came by the set one day. I was having lunch with Stella and Nolan and my nanny at the time, and he sat down at the table and she was like, it's Brad Pitt! And of course I was, even though I'm in the business, I still was like, hey, like, and for some reason I felt like I knew him, like, oh my God, how are you? How's Angelina in the house? And, but I realized it was all like information from Us Magazine, and he's not really my friend.
That's really awkward.
But I literally felt that way. I was like,
I did actually with Jennifer Aniston of all, and because people, you know, they'll do it with you. And they're like, hey, oh. And so she and I turned to each other and started like, hey.
Yeah, we don't know each other.
Don't know
Awkward
each other.
celebrity
That's
moment.
really
That's what I-
awkward. I know. It goes under that. But
But he's so nice. He's very down to earth. And
Were you
sweet.
breastfeeding at the time? Because the babies are little.
Was I? Okay, at that time I was not. But I had this funny thing that when Stella was little, I had this funny thing. Yeah, you can talk about breastfeeding on the show, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? That's our bread and butter. Get
I had this funny moment with Stella. You know, they give you these elaborate pumps, and because I went back to work pretty quickly, I was doing a movie in Canada when Nolan was like 6 months and I was pumping, and Stella was just sitting near me, and Nolan was like on the bed, and she had a little bathing suit on with socks, and the pump makes a noise like
Yes, it does.
and she just did like a little dance to the sound of the pump, and it made me laugh so hard because I was like, this is such a funny moment, like that she's dancing. She did like a little skip to the breast pump, like. But I was saying, like, after, when you're nursing, you start to go crazy because you're sleep deprived, kind of, and sometimes I would start to hear the pump, like, like, I felt like sometimes it sounded like it was saying, like, you whore, or like, dirty things to me.
Wow.
Like, I was like,
It was a Dynamis pump, I guess. I don't know.
no, do you know what I mean?
No, I don't. That thing is haunting.
Yeah,
it's
isn't
a
it?
necessity,
You
but
hear things?
Yes, it haunts you and it follows you. And you hear it.
what movie? Were you working on Marie Antoinette?
No, I was doing this other movie in Canada called Grey Matters.
Yeah. But this one is out. When does this one come out?
This one comes out tomorrow, Friday.
And it's very
a great
touching.
movie.
It really is.
really
Her
is.
little, she's sort of an introvert, a woman who's not in touch with her feelings, and she gets a little dog, and the little dog dies, and then what happens to her as a result is she kind of breaks down, but finds herself.
Finds herself.
Yes.
And it's a lot about all these funny, intricate, well-written, deep characters that Mike White creates and their worlds and all the different things they're obsessed with. Not just animals and animal rights, but motherhood and that whole thing. And
oh my God, Laura Dern.
Isn't she amazing?
Oh my God, I was hysterical.
Yeah.
I know, and you know so many women like that, mothers, and then Josh Pais with the money, and Regina King with her obsession with getting married. It's a very sophisticated, funny, relatable comedy that I'm so proud to be in. And Mike White is just, I love him. He's so talented. Isn't he?
So nice.
Yeah, and you're a doll, Molly Shannon. I think you're the funniest woman around.
Oh my God.
That's what it is. Mary